the idea of Sefer Orchos Tzadikim is, he writes in the Hakdam, we're not going to go through the introduction now, but he writes in the introduction that people, everyone, let me start like this. The name of the Sefer is not Orchos Tzadikim. The name of the Sefer is called Sefer Hamidos, the book of character traits. Later on, I'm not sure, it might have been like a publisher, maybe some editor down the line, changed the name or gave it the name of Orchos Tzadikim, the ways of the righteous. But the author himself, who published the work anonymously, so we do not know who the author was. It seems that it was written in 14th or 15th century Germany. So we're looking at the time period of the late Rishonim. It's been accepted as one of the basic Musar Svarim of Klal Yisrael, up there with the Mesilas Yesharim and with the Chovos Halevavos, with the Rebbeinu and Pirkei Avos, with Sharei Tshuva. The Orchos Tzadikim is one of the main Musar Svarim. So what he does is he writes in his introduction that people try to be good, but without the Torah guiding us, so how does one define what a good midah is? So I have my idea, my concept of when it's appropriate to get angry, and when it's appropriate to be to bestow chesed upon someone, and when is it appropriate to daven. I have all my ideas. Now my ideas are not coming from the Torah, they're coming from my genetic makeup as well as my experiences. But that's not necessarily consistent or in tune with the Torah. So the concept of this Sefer is to teach us what the different traits are. So define them, what causes a person to have them, what is a negative application of them. We'll see Simcha is a great place to start. Simcha is one of those midas that are good and bad. It depends what you're sameach about, we're going to use the translation happy, even though we'll see that it's not really the translation, but you can be happy about good things, happy about bad things. So Simcha is not a good midah or a bad midah. It's a midah. Most midas are not good or bad. There are two exceptions. Ka'as and gaiva, anger and arrogance, are bad midas. But almost all other midas are just realities in a person, and the idea is to balance them and use them in the appropriate manner. So the Sefer is going to go through how Chazal define these character traits, what is an unhealthy usage of the character trait, and what is a healthy usage of the character trait. So that is what we're going to see. So it's always a thrilling experience that I'm approaching with all my ideas, all my preconceived notions, all my biases, and I'm going to let myself, hopefully, let the Sefer speak to me, and let's see what the Torah's idea of these midas are, and hopefully I'll be able to change my mindset and make it into the Torah. So it just so happens that this gate of Simcha, a big part of Simcha, is none other than Bitachon. So a little more than halfway into the Shar, he gets into Bitachon. So I'm curious to see, is that going to be the same as the Chovos Halevavos' understanding of Bitachon? Are we going to see a machlokes, difference of opinions? So I think that's going to be a fun experience for us and a very meaningful experience for us. So without further ado, we'll start from Shar HaTshi, the ninth gate, Shar HaSimcha. So says the Orchos Tzadikim, HaSimcha, Hamida Hazois Ba'al Adam. This midah, the midah of Simcha comes, he's going to say four things now. It comes from four things. Number one, Machmas Roiv Shalva Beliba. It comes from when a person has shalva, which means like an elation, a simcha, it was like a happiness in his heart. Believe pegara, nothing bad happens to him. So he's in a good state. Va'adam hamasig ta'avasoi, a person has achieved all his desires. He's achieved his desires. Now again, it depends what he desires, right? So he's achieved his desire. And nothing happens to him that makes him sad. So if a person has achieved his desires, that is simcha. Simcha is, we'd say, again, it's a shalva beliba, which means, not to sound corny, but like an inner peace. A person there's a certain harmony inside, he's shalev in his heart, he has shalva in his heart, which means he's at peace there's certain happiness, a certain contentment, an inner contentment, we'll say, and a person has achieved his taivas, what he wants, what he desires. Now, obviously, the person's going to set his taivas very high, so he's not going to be happy. So happiness is going to be based on how high you set your expectations. When I enrolled in Rabbi Kaplan's yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael, so I was 25, I think, at the time. And most of the people started out in that yeshiva, they're around 20, and they're not married. And I was coming in 25 and I was married. And he said, you're going to find it hard. In that yeshiva, you start off from the bottom, right? That means where you sit in the beis medrash, where you sit in the shiur room, and you work your way up. You have to earn your stripes, as they say. So, he said you'd be sitting with kids that are, 5 years younger than you, and bachram, and you're a younger man, you're married. So I said that it's all about what you expect. If I go with that expectation, it's not going to be hard. What's hard is if I go with the expectation that I'll be sitting in the front row of the shiur and have the best seat in the beis medrash, and then I'll be disappointed. But if I know going in, that's the situation, so I'm not going to be disappointed. So simcha is going to really be dependent, to a large extent, on what's my goal. What do I want out of my dinner? What do I want when I walk into my house at 6 p.m.? What is my desire? What do I desire when I open that door? What do I want to see? Right? So my simcha, my level of simcha is going to depend on what my desire is. Right? So we're defining simcha. Really, you have to define what one's desire is, and simcha is going to follow that. So those are the 4 things that lead a person to simcha. So if a person has this is the extreme, he'll always be happy. Now, simcha, we're going to see, is not an all or nothing endeavor. But if a person wants to be in a consistent state of simcha, he has the shalva believa, the contentment in his heart, bli pegara, nothing bad happens to him. He has all his taivas, he's achieved all his desires, and nothing can happen to him that makes him sad. That person will be besimcha all the time. The ya'iru panav, this is going to cause him, his face is going to light up. The zivay mavik, his face will shine. The gufay bari, this is going to cause him to be physically healthy. That doesn't mean a person who's besimcha is not going to get sick, but being besimcha, being happy, makes a person healthy. Vein zikna mimaheres lavay olav, and old age will not come to him quickly. So to an extent, being quote unquote old is a state of mind, not just a state of mind, but a person's state of mind affects physically how one ages. The person is besimcha, he's not going to age that quickly. Like it says in the pasuk in Mishlei, leiv sameach yetiv geha. Right, so this concept that simcha has an effect on a person's health is not the Orchos Tzadikim's chiddush. It's definitely not the medical establishment today's chiddush. It's Shlomo HaMelech's chiddush in Sefer Mishlei, where he says a leiv sameach, a happy heart. Again, the simcha is in the heart. It's not like yay, like something good happened. You get a birthday cake, I'm happy. Simcha is a leiv sameach, an internal happiness. Yetiv geha, his body will be good, will be in good health. The Targum on that pasuk, the Aramaic is gufa. Rashi in Mishlei says geha means his face, but it has an effect on his physical health. So now it's interesting, the Orchos Tzadikim is going to go right now into a negative effect of simcha, and that's going to carry him now pretty much to the next few pages. So it's interesting, before we get into really what simcha is and what Hashem demands of us vis-a-vis simcha, he's going to go now on, not a tangent, but he's going to focus on a bad effect that simcha can have on a person. And he says, when a person is besimcha, that leads him to schoik. Schoik is like a lightheadedness. A person starts to joke around. It was called kalus roish, which literally is translated as lightheadedness. So schoik is not a good thing. That excessive lightheadedness, for lack of a better word, that sums it up, is not a good thing. An intelligent person should not have too much schoik. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't enjoy yourself. That doesn't mean that you don't share a joke with your friend, but there's a certain, point where it goes too far. And the person's just acting not in a bekavadik way. Kim haschoik mishtatev de'akala. With schoik, with excessive jokingness, comes lightheadedness. Like it says, the pasuk in Koheles, Kika kol hasirim tachas asir. Says Shlomo Melech in Koheles, like the sound of the wood chips, of the twigs that are under the pot, that you're cooking meat, you're making a stew, and you have your twigs underneath the fire. It makes a lot of noise. It crackles. So kol hasirim tachas asir, like the sound of the crackling twigs under the pot, kain schoik haksil. So too is the schoik, the laughter and the lightheadedness of the fool. So the Sepharnoi on that pasuk explains that the twigs make a lot of noise, and through that noise, which is the consumption, the fire consuming them, they are finished. They disappear. They go up in smoke, literally. So the noise, just like the noise of the twig is what consumes the twig until nothing is left, so too is the schoik, the laughter of the fool. I mean, the noise that he makes undermines him until he disappears, until no one takes him seriously, until he's not going to be a happy person. We already say, one of the signs that a person has mental, he has issues, he's a shoite, he's not mentally competent, right? That a person makes jokes in an area where it's inappropriate to make jokes. That's already a sign that a person is not all there. So schoik is a very dangerous thing. A person who's a Baal Musa, who has etiquette, who holds himself to be an intelligent, moral person, should not act with schoik. He should not be sitting in a place where people are acting in a frivolous way. Because the Chazal tell us, Misha Rav Sachkoi Mismait Maroi. The more a person jokes around excessively, the less fear he's going to have. When a person is joking around and he's being lightheaded, he can't have any thoughts of Yirah Shamayim, a fear of heaven. And a Jew always has to have, on some level, a certain humbling feeling, realizing that there's a Bari Olam in the world. Again, we don't walk around all upset and depressed and serious. We can have a good time. We can go to a barbecue. We can have fun. But there's a point where the schoik gets excessive. You have Gemaras and Brachas, I think it's in the 5th parak, where the one rabbi from the Gemara felt that the other rabbis were acting in a lightheaded way. He took white glass, which is a very expensive glass, a vase from white glass, and he threw it on the floor. And that wasn't about tashchis, it's not called wasting, because he was trying to calm them down. And the Gemara has a few cases there where at weddings, various Amoraim felt that others were becoming excessively lightheaded. So it's a balance. A person should make sure, should control himself. He shouldn't have too much schoik, and he should make sure his rebbe or his friend doesn't have too much schoik. It says the pasuk in Yirmiyah, Lo yashavti b'soid mesachakim ve'elois. They never sat in a gathering of players, people making jokes, and I joke with them. I never did that. And he quotes another pasuk in Mishnah. So that's the setup. He's defined in the first paragraph where simcha comes from. He defined in the first paragraph the effect that simcha has on the person both mentally and physically, and then he described a negative result of simcha that it leads to this thing called schoik, which is a contradiction to having the fear of heaven. And now he's going to go on and describe 4 areas where schoik is negative, where schoik has a bad effect on people. So number 1, there are many evils that accompany simcha and schoik. Right? So let's say I'm happy when my friend stumbles. So something happens to my friend, somebody gets sick, or the roof caves in, someone's car breaks down. So the person gets happy, his friend gets happy. That's a bad simcha, that's a bad schoik. One should not be happy even when his enemy falls. We just had that Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. Shmuel HaKatan quoted this pasuk. Even when a person's enemy falls, he should not be happy. There's another simcha that's worse than that, And that is when a person is happy that his friend had a setback religiously, in ruchnius, in spirituality. There are those people who, when they see their friend fell, he's not going to minyan now. I don't mean now, but when in normal times, when we have minyan, he's not going to minyan. Or I see that he's not so into learning anymore. So someone can be happy with that. And he says it's a very bad simcha. And he goes on to say that not only is it bad, ben adam l'chaveroi, is it a bad sign that I'm not viewing my friends in the way I should be, that I'm happy that they're stumbling, be it physically, be it spiritually, is a bad midah. But if I was a true eved, a true servant of Hashem, and I saw that one of Hashem's constituents was not acting properly, that's really a bizayin, that's really reflects negatively, so to speak, on Hashem, and that should bother me. So if I'm happy with another Jew stumbling spiritually, that shows that I am not a good Eved Hashem, that I have to work on my service of Hashem. It should bother me, just like, whether it's someone in your kehillah or someone in your family does the wrong thing. So, I get embarrassed because I'm a member of this group, and it reflects poorly on me. So all Jews are all one, and we're all serving the same God. And when one Yid is nichshel in something, when he stumbles in something, it reflects poorly on all of us, even if it's not something that the media picks up on. So if a Yid is having a hard time, he's not coming to his learning Siddharm, and it should be coming to, so it should bother us, and one should not take pleasure in that. And that's why he says that there's a certain tefillah that we say when we come into the Beis Medrash. Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana, also Gemara in Brachas, and he writes there, and this is what we say, Al yikashlu chaveirai b'dvar halacha ve'esmach behem. My friend should not, my chavrusa, should not make a mistake in learning, and I'm happy. He says that the human tendency, human nature is that, you say a pshat in Rashi, and he says a pshat in Rashi. And when you can disprove he was wrong, he didn't pay attention to the other Rashi before, and that's why I made a mistake, so now I'm happy, because I was right, he was wrong. So Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana composed the tefillah that when he begins learning, it should be that he's not happy when his friends stumble, and his friends are not happy when he stumbles. Says the Orchos Tzadikim, any Jew who his desires are the desires of Hashem, he's in tune with Hashem's desires, it should bother him that Hashem's will was not actualized. Even an enemy, I should daven for my enemies that they worship Hashem properly. And I should have kavanah in my davening, in atachoinen, in hashivenu, in slach lanu, for everyone in Klal Yisrael. I'm davening that everyone should worship Hashem in the proper manner, both those who I love, my friends, as well as my enemies. How is it possible I'm going to daven roifei choilei, that Hashem should heal those who are sick, ushar brachas, and I'm going to have a kavanah, my friend doesn't get healed, and my friend doesn't become smart. Since this is very common in people, and people don't realize that, therefore, it sounds like he's referring to the Shemona Esrei, is written in Lashon Rabbim plural. Hashivenu, Rifa'enu. So when we daven Shemona Esrei, there's not one bracha that's about me. There's not one bracha in the singular form. It's all in plural. Hashivenu, Rifa'enu. That the Anshe Knesset Gdol who composed Shemona Esrei are trying to teach us, we have to have everybody in mind. We shouldn't be happy with anyone's setbacks. So that is one negative simcha. Be simcha about someone who has a setback. The Ezra Hashem tomorrow night is Monday night. We shall continue with the other negative effects of simcha, and then we'll get to the positive effects soon enough. Ezra Hashem.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
To you as well.